Hi, Living It Out Writers and Team 3. And here we are together again in 2016. I feel like I should still say Happy New Year since we haven't worked together yet. And I am honestly super excited about the topic this week. As you know, we've been unpacking well-being, and this week is about finances. And I feel like this is the topic where God really pulls back what's just covering our eyes so often, and is really trying to show us how we buy into things that aren't true. We think that things work that don't, and where we can trust His Word. And so it's just been really incredible for me to kind of jump back into this again. And I wanted to start with just a few kind of overall things, living it out related. The first is, I'm sure you got my email about Jackie, and I'm so sad to lose her for a little bit, but she will be back. It's just a season for her. And so, just pray that the right timing opens it back up again for her to serve sooner rather than later. The other thing that I wanted to point out to you is that in this outline in particular, I'm going to be writing Monday and Friday, and but Tuesday and Wednesday both have short proverbs because we have a lot to pack into the intros. Now, Thursday has a little bit longer on those verses, but I do want you to consider the length of the amount of scripture that you've been given as it relates to the introduction. So if you have a proverb that is not very long, then good news. You have more room for an intro. You can bump up to like 250 to 300 words, and you're going to need that space, so use it. The longer passages, anywhere from 200 to 250 words. So be mindful of that and use it to your advantage. The more that we are able to share, particularly in these practical, like how are we going to live this out steps, the better. Another tip is snappy hooks and intros. Remember how I was providing those for a while? When I can, or if something really pops out to me, I will. But otherwise, remember to always start out with something that grabs the reader. And that should, I hope, be part of the fun for you. There will also be one other attachment this week that has an additional resource attached, and I think that was for Tuesday. In any case, I've labeled in the day which pages those are for, actually Thursday. And so be sure and tap into that resource to round out your intro if you're writing that day. Context of the verses, remember that those have to be set up. And even if it's one or two sentences, knowing that we've spent a lot of time in Ecclesiastes, it's not necessarily that you have to set up the whole context again, but we need to plant the reader's feet and turn into scripture. So keep that in mind. And remember the writer's cheat sheet that I sent you? I'm going to send it to you again. I hope that you're using that when you are doing a submission, that you can go through that and kind of look at what you've submitted and confidently be able to say, yeah, I met each of these areas. And so let's dive in. Monday is just going to be an overview. And again, I'll be taking that on from the weekend. I'm building more and more into sort of Monday and Tuesday following the weekend message very closely, and then Wednesday through Friday taking some of the principles and still applying them and using them in the same way that the weekend message did, but perhaps giving some new perspective or going in the direction that we can because we've got a little bit more space and time. So then on Tuesday, this is all about giving on Tuesday. The research is radical on this about how good it is for us to give. So this is a super fun day. I also included in the resources, there's a link to the Wall Street Journal or a Wall Street Journal article called Can Money Buy You Happiness? If the link doesn't work, go ahead and just Google that. It is a phenomenal read. I enjoyed it from start to finish. And you'll notice that I reference it a few times through here. So even just giving that article a skim will help you no matter what day you're writing. So Tuesday is all about giving it away, and how that relates to our well-being and is actually what leads to well-being versus hoarding it. And so you'll see there's a proverb there for that. Wednesday is super practical about getting a plan. This references Financial Peace coming up, DaveRamsey.com, and some of the tools there. I'm asking you to look at that site and really outline a couple of those first steps for people. And, be mindful that if we have readers that have already traveled down this path, that there are additional things that they can consider. So be sure, if you can, to give a nod to them, particularly in the live section. You might just have one question, but if that one question can really reach, hey, if you're starting out and doing this, XYZ, if you are further down the road, then 1, 2, 3. So think about that as well. Then on Thursday is really the connection and how social and financial overlap when it comes to well-being. The meaningful experiences, when we spend our money on those experiences, the connection to well-being skyrockets. And I included, again, this is where that attachment will give you some additional resources there to work with. And then Friday, I'm going to do as a wrap-up. So, okay, that brings us to financial well-being, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. If there is, I'll email you, but I look forward to which days you take, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I always love to hear how God has worked in your life through the serve that you do, so please include that if you can, if it's something tangible and you're willing to share it, and our best for His glory. I'll see you soon.